Hi everyone, it's Killshot 99 Gaming. This is Fear the Walking Dead Season 5 Episode 4 with our fan reaction video. There is no Talking Dead, so if you want to react, you need to react right here, right now. What a good episode. I'm not trying to skew your opinion, but it was good, and we finally got some of the answers to the questions. I know that's, week after week it's been building, and tonight was very, very solid. Before we get into tonight's reaction video, I do want to give a shout out to all the patrons out there. Thank you so much to my Patreon army. Everything that you guys do for this channel, you guys are wonderful. And, I thought it was going to be a little bit about Skidmark, but it was a lot about Skidmark. What a neat concept to have Skidmark with his little bell and the partnership. We think people are good, they're bad, they're good. So the kids, I've asked you guys week after week, how do we feel about them? And there was a lot of anger, like we don't trust them. And admittedly, I was one of those that didn't trust them. And now we understand that they're hanging around because all their parents are dead. So, wow, mind blown tonight. So before we get too far into it, I do have to ask everybody, let's get some scores up on the board from a 1 to a 10. Tonight's episode, I need everybody, come on, dig deep here. Let me know what you think tonight's episode is. I'm going to give it a high score. So, Julia Muse says 9, Sheila 9, 9.3, 10s, 9.5s. There's an 8 in there somewhere. Another 8 in there, another 8, a lot of 9s. Wow, 9.99. Buffy gives it a 5. We're going to have to talk to Buffy in a minute. Dakota Page, 7.4. So, a couple low scores, but overall, a lot of 9s, a lot of 10s. I'm going to give it a 9.2. I'm going to give it a little bit better than a 9. I'm going to tell you guys why. It had almost all the elements that I like with Fear the Walking Dead. It had some craziness, some unbelievable things that never happen, but they do it the right way. It had a much better storyline in my mind tonight. We got to see that Daniel is not a bad dude, and Daniel has an agenda. He's out there hunting for someone. Maybe, they're all hunting for the same people. Maybe this group that took Rick and this group that has Althea, maybe Daniel's got an agenda with them. Who knows? We did see a little bit of a sneak peek for next week. We got to see Althea, but we don't know if that's going to be a little bit of the flashback of what's happened to her since she's been gone. Maybe the helicopter leaving tonight was taking Althea somewhere, or maybe they're going to pick up Rick. They got to pick up Rick sometime. Do want to get some of your thoughts, want to get some of your comments. We're not going to do the complete recap every single scene, but we are going to talk about some of the, the most drastic things happened tonight. Want to give a super special shout out to Valar, Hello 999 Army, Kill Steph, Emmy Kale, Sweet Tommy, sponsors, patrons, channel members, and all the super chatters. Absolutely, Valar, thank you so much for everything that you do as well, and love that introduction. So, I want you guys to do me a favor. Tonight's episode, if you had to, tomorrow you're at work, you're talking about tonight's episode, what is the biggest thing from tonight's episode? What is the biggest shocker or reaction or thing that happened tonight that just kind of said, whoa, that was cool or surprised me? It should have been obvious, and I totally missed it. EB says the kids' army, Daniel and the kids. Grimes on the radio says kids. The helicopter says Will to Bill. Strand and Daniel made up. The helicopter, the last scene. Get away from the chopper. Good comments. If I don't get a chance to call on everybody, keep in mind, your comments are part of this video. So this was so obvious, and we didn't talk about it at all. I think we completely missed it for the most part. Maybe one or two people are going to say, yeah, okay, it made sense. But I love it when something is right there and we should find it, but we miss it. And the kids being the offspring, related to all the dead parents at the camp was just like, really? How did we miss that? that the parents were locked up, or they killed themselves, or they barricaded themselves to let the kids get away, or the kids, whatever happened, however that went down. What a good story. What a good story that they're out there on their own because the parents were the ones that got infected. Or, to make it an even darker place, how about, what if the parents were still alive, which they were, but the parents got infected and they wanted to say goodbye to all their kids. So they barricaded themselves in there with the glass so they could talk to them or tell them goodbye. Now, wouldn't that be like a real tear-jerking epic goodbye for your kids? Like, at least you get to, kind of like when Captain Kirk and Spock was, had all that radiation in one of the Star Trek movies. And he put his hand up there and said, I have always been and always will be your friend. Like that. You know what I'm saying? If you guys remember that. So maybe the kids, that was kind of the way they got to say goodbye to their parents. And they just had like a little bit of a barricade. Yeah. We can visualize it however we want to. Make it a little more sad. The camp. Yeah, I got to process tonight's episode. So, there has been some cool stuff to sort of pick apart. How many people really, really liked the synergy between Charlie and Daniel? That is a future father-daughter relationship. He is already just kind of melting. Like, she controls him. It was so cool how, first of all, I love Charlie's decision-making. I love how she can relate to him. There's some similarities, how she has a plan for how she wanted to attack the walkers. She didn't want to leave him behind. She even volunteered to leave with him. The thing with Charlie is she's not so attached to this group, and neither is Daniel. So Daniel has an agenda, and I got a feeling we're going to see more out of the two of them. Ecom, major WTF moment for me was when I saw the helicopter. Also called the kids getting into trouble while being afraid of our group. Dude in black suit is trouble. Absolutely is trouble. Hopefully the kids with all the guns will at least say to Morgan and Alicia, like, here, take a weapon. Just you can help us out a little bit. But yeah, that dude in the black suit was very structured. That's one of the things that stood out with me. He seemed very robotic, didn't he? Like when you saw the way he was killing, he had like his own ninja style. But some really, really good stuff with tonight's episode. Or absolutely could be a woman in black. Either way, a man or a woman. Yeah, we shouldn't make the assumption it is a man in black. But whoever that was in the black suit was very, very good. Tom Ferreira says Daniel Strand and Skidmark was the best part. There was a lot to the three of them, and it was good that we finally got some closure. I felt like Daniel wanted to forgive him all along, but I do have to bring this up. How many people here felt the same way with Daniel and Charlie as you did with Negan and Judith? Did it not seem that they were trying to push that relationship very similar to what has worked? I think they learned from it, right? I think they saw how we just, we see these tough and then broken down men that lost everything, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, here you got this child that can just kind of control. The same way Judith can get Negan to do anything, Charlie has the same type of chemistry with Daniel. And I'm okay with it. Look, if it works, it works. And I do like that Daniel he's back. He's not 100% there. And he's got something he needs to go take care of. You know he's not planning on leaving and not coming back because he wants a cigar. He says, go ahead and use what you need. But he's going to take care of what he needs to take care of, and then that's still his warehouse. So, more to come from Daniel. And what's funny is, a few weeks ago, how many people thought Daniel was going to be a villain? Or that he was in with some bad people? Amanda Goss, super chatting. Thank you so much, Amanda. Appreciate that. Thanks for being here and appreciate that contribution to the channel. Daniel's going after Logan. So there's a few people. Not everybody did, but there's a few people that thought Daniel could be a villain. All right. Now, and I know this would be a much lower number. How many people thought it was possible that Dwight could have been a villain? E. Beach. Could we see Al in the movies not returning? Yes. I don't think Al is returning. Not as many thought Dwight. I'm going to get to that point in a second because E. Beach brought up something else. No, that's not what we're talking about. How many people think that Al will not be reunited with the group again? I know Al is in the next episode. That's not what we're discussing. We're not discussing whether we will see her. We will see her again. But whether or not she will be reunited with the group. Will the Bill. I hated Daniel until tonight. Good job. In the trailer, she's shown giving more than a hug, which we've not seen yet. They released promo pics. Okay, fair enough. Eddie says there's promo pics out there of Al with Morgan. Yeah, there are promo pics, but I didn't go through them and because I remember the promo pic of Strand and Charlie and a couple other ones that were out early. So, then if she is going to be reunited with the group, then what is the purpose of her capture? Because they wouldn't just give us that and not give us some follow-up information. Yeah, that's what I think. So I think the purpose of, I mean for the viewers, not necessarily for the people in black. Yeah, that's what I think too, Eddie. I think the purpose of Althea getting captured was so that our group will get a little bit more intel. You know, they got the map, they got the group. I think they're setting it up for the movie, where there's a good transition, a good handoff into the movie. And, you know, seeing a helicopter again, I think every time we see the helicopter, it just makes you anxious to want to get to the Walking Dead movie, to see Rick again. You know, it doesn't mean that we won't see her in the movie. We most certainly could see her in the movie. Maybe It's just not time for her to exit just yet. And it could make a little bit of sense. You know, she gets some intel on him. She wants to find out a little bit more. She's a curious journalist. But, see, here's the big struggle, though. And this is what we got to keep into context, because I know some people message me and we haven't gotten that. Even if Al finds out about Rick, the radio contact, nope. I like to fish. It could be, but not in that context. See, this is the rabbit hole I'm going to go down. It could be Al on the radio, but the thing you have to remember is it's got to be Al 7 years later. So there's a lot that happens in 7 years. So we can't just kind of throw that theory out there without a little bit more time to pass. I get it. Somebody could be on the radio and Michonne is ready like, hey, you know, they're talking back and forth. Let's make some contact. By the way, we met this dude, Rick, and, you know, he's captured, and Michonne up and leaves. So that's why I don't think it's Al on the radio. But if it is, it's Al such a long time from now that's reaching out to make contact. So it's not quite that simple in my mind. June Smith, Rick is on his way. I felt it in my bones. Love Daniel. He was the man of the hour. What's up, Army? Well, Danny's, I mean, it could be Lucy, it could be Al, it could be Charlie on the radio. I mean, how old's Charlie going to be in 7 years? How old do you think Charlie is? 12, 13 right now? I mean, it could just as well be Charlie on the radio as anybody else. So, I mean, we're taking a shot in the dark if we're there's no, yeah, I mean, Charlie, Maggie, any female voice it could be, but there's just not enough data to really make a case for who it is, who survived it. Look, 7 years is a long time to be dealing with these people and these experiments and everything else. And more than likely, I mean, there ain't a lot of, who knows if they even have working helicopters any longer. Or another good point. Could be any of those kids. Could be Annie on the radio. Well, Joyce, at least the nice thing is that the time skip is starting to make more sense, whereas last year it was really rough. But now it's a little bit easier to understand. Fear the Walking Dead is right about the time where they're going to take Rick. In fact, that helicopter could be flying to pick up Rick as we speak. Whereas The Walking Dead, 7 years ahead, we haven't seen helicopters for a while. We finally got some radio contact. We're fighting a whisper war. But we're only dealing with 2 time skips right now. Now, when the movie comes out, we're going to be dealing with 3 time frames again. Because Fear will either be, depending on how much time passes in Fear, Fear could be beyond the Rick Grimes movie. It could be at the Rick Grimes movie. It could be slightly in front leading into the Rick Grimes movie, depending on what happens the rest of the season. Then you got the movie, and then you got 7 years. So it might get a little crazy again. I tend to think they're going to use Fear as a complete platform and not time skip it again. I think everything that's happening in Fear is going to happen within a few weeks. And that's going to get us to the Rick situation. Paris, I disagree. I don't think Fear is winding down at all. I think Fear. How many people agree with 1189 Paris that Fear is winding down? I think they got 5 more seasons. The characters that they're introducing, I think they're strong. I don't think they brought Dwight and Morgan over to wind down Fear. I think they brought Dwight and Morgan over to give it a boost, to give it 5 more years. Dwight, Morgan, Daniel, Alicia, Strand. June's going to die. John will make it. I mean, look, they're going to lose 1 or 2. Yeah, I think, Paris, I think that opinion is probably in the minority. I think most people are going to say Fear is really ramping up, and the connection to the movie is going to make it that much more. Daniel's a strong character. He has some popularity. Dwight is a very strong character. They're good. I would say 5 seasons. I would not be surprised to see this get to season 10. Well, they got to expand before they start killing people. I mean, they're gonna kill off B characters, but if they can pick up a couple of these kids, take them with them, then they got some fodder. You need. I mean, you can't have a group of like 6 or 7 or 8 and just kill them off. You got to get your group up to about 14 or 15 so the losses start to, everybody's not living and dying with one character. So, new series, completely different. We don't know what the time frame's going to be. It's going to be apparently about 2 teenage girls, filmed in Virginia. We know it's filmed in Virginia, but we don't know if it is taking place in Virginia. I don't know that has been answered. But apparently it's going to be, don't know what the time frame's going to be. If it's going to be in the future. I mean, maybe they're going to be 20 years in the future. Yeah, that's what I thought I saw too. Eduardo Guzman says, I think Gimple said the spinoff will be years after the initial outbreak. So, I mean, what does that mean though? Because even The Walking Dead is years after the initial outbreak. Is it going to be like up to the time of the Whispers? Going to be ahead of the Whispers? Yeah, that's a typical Gimple answer. Liz says, Kills, just a question. Did you see any hype about potential Walking Dead taking place in China? Not a TV or a movie, but a new book that Kirkman's working on. The Typhoon book. I saw whatever you guys saw. Not a movie or not a spinoff. Yeah, I mean, we're not that far away from Comic-Con. We're going to get a teaser for The Walking Dead. We're probably going to get a nice goodbye for Michonne. And I'm sure we're going to get a hint about the Rick Grimes movie. Or the Walking Dead movie. But everybody really wants to see what's going on with Rick. Yeah, it's certainly starting to feel like, I know there's some debate going back and forth. Is this group the Commonwealth? It's starting to feel like it is, or it's a division, and they're just kind of out there all over the place. You know, everybody reports to somebody. The one thing that I would say is these people in the helicopters, they're probably not the ones making the decision. They're not the ones in charge. I think there's going to be a connection or a relation to them somehow. Or maybe they're part of a group that eventually rolls into the Commonwealth. Yeah, but see, Eddie, here's the thing, and I agree with that. So Eddie says the Commonwealth's in Ohio. I feel like this for the movie. You know, these rings almost feel like maybe they're different zones. Because if they can fly a helicopter from Texas to Virginia, they could certainly fly a helicopter from Texas to Ohio or Virginia to Ohio. Just because they're there doesn't mean that they're there. And Ohio would be a fairly central point between Texas and Virginia. I mean, it's not perfect. It's a little bit more kind of northwestish, but I mean, that could be the third point in the triangle. And who knows? There could be more of them out there. I mean, it's all speculation. I mean, we need more data. It's fun to think about it. But let me kind of ask it this way. The Commonwealth is one of the biggest groups in the Walking Dead universe ever, right? And those of you that read the comics, you know much more about it than I do because you're further along. I mean, to me, Negan was a big deal, right? It's like, here comes Negan, and oh, he's bad. And, you know, here's the thing that people kept telling me. They said, oh, Kills, wait. Wait till you meet the Whispers. Negan is nothing compared to the Whispers. And I was like, okay. And then as we get to the Whispers, then what I keep hearing is this Commonwealth, you know, they're structured, they're funded, they're organized. So everything that we've seen on the TV show, and this is the way I'm going to ask the question, wouldn't it feel a little dirty or a little disappointing if the group that took Rick and the group that has Althea is some other rogue group out there that's not the Commonwealth? I mean, don't you kind of feel at this point that the next progression beyond the Whispers needs to be the Commonwealth, right? So, I mean, certainly we haven't gotten the full taste of it, but you got a group that took Heath, you got a group that took Rick, you got a group that took Althea. I mean, that can't be like the Wolves or the Governor's group. That's got to be something big. So, I think that I do think they're going to drag it out. I don't think they're going to give us next season like, hey, here they are. I think Maggie probably has some knowledge of them. Althea, Morgan will get a little bit more knowledge of them. It looks like maybe all the Walking Dead universes are going to be involved in this Commonwealth in one way or another. It certainly would tie both groups together. That would be a connection. Whereas it's okay for Fear to stand alone and The Walking Dead to stand alone, and maybe even the new series to stand alone. But what happens ultimately if, hey, Series 3 has a connection to the Commonwealth, Fear has a connection in The Walking Dead, and I think that would be fun, just to kind of bounce it back. And I don't think you can do that unless it's a very renowned group. Just kind of my thought. Thinking out loud, everybody. Hey, we're about 35 minutes in. This is a reaction video. We want to give people a chance to watch the playback. We'll get more thoughts in tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we will be here at 9:30. We're going to do a more extended breakdown. I've got about 3.5 pages worth of notes, so we'll go through the Dylan-Lucy conversation, how Dylan kind of, broke ranks because he had a soft spot for the group, didn't want anybody to get hurt. We'll talk about Skidmark a little bit more, Daniel's ultimate motivation, what he's behind, what he needs to do in order to make things right, why John and June and Dwight are out looking for Sherry instead of looking for Althea. A little bit odd. And you guys asked earlier, I gave it a 9.2. The only reason I gave it a 9.2 is because the groups keep splitting up. We never learn. It's like, wait a minute, where's John? Nope. They're out helping Dwight find Sherry. Okay. Well, wouldn't we find Althea faster if we just found Althea? Or wouldn't we find Sherry faster if we just stayed together? That's the only reason why I didn't give it a perfect 10. But hey, thank you so much. Appreciate everybody being here. Thank you, Grimes on Radio. It's a great stream because each and every one of you participate in it. You guys are awesome. So real quick, shout out to the patrons, top left-hand corner. Shout out to my green team, the members of the channel. If you guys are interested in becoming a member, there's a join button. If you're interested in becoming a patron, there is a link down below. The moderators, Emmy, Steph, Tommy, Kels, thank you for everything that you guys do. Also, one more shout out to the 999 Army. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you for being here. And, of course, the Super Chatter. 2 shout-outs, I guess. The Super Chatters as well. Thank you. I will see you all tomorrow night at 9:30. Have a good evening. Do your homework. Get some research, because I think there's a couple hidden clues that we might have glossed over. But when you're kind of at the edge of your seat just looking at the action, which we had tonight, we might have missed a couple. So hopefully I see all you guys tomorrow night. Have a good one. Peace.